the Overman Warrior Podcast.
I can't let these hold me back. One more step, I can do this. Almost there, breaking free!
Hi, Rich Hoffman here. I'm going to say the same thing I've said to everybody all week. As soon as SpaceX announced that they were going to unleash their IPO, going to go public, everybody's asking me asking me my opinion on it. And I know the War Room group, and I like the War Room guys, and I have a lot of friends who are very suspicious of Elon Musk, and they don't like that Trump's so close to all these wealthy people. I'm just going to say, wealth is a tool, and the more tools you have to work with, the more things you can fix and do. And one of the reasons Trump was able to become president, because he was wealthy. And the reason they weren't able to sink him the way they'd sink just about anybody else is because he had so much money that he could overtake their legal initiatives. Wealth is the way. Wealth is a tool, and the more money you have, the more you can do. That's generally the rule. And what I say about SpaceX's IPO, and I think it's a great thing. And if you have a few $1,000 laying around, I'd invest in it. I think the return will be invest 1,000, get back 1,000,000, like Elon Musk is saying. A lot of people are suspicious. They're saying the tech oligarchs, they know there's a crash coming. The economic reporting is very good. In case you didn't see, jobs numbers are great. Government employment numbers are down to the lowest levels in 60 years. Trump has done a great job of converting government workers into private workers, and the jobs numbers show it. And that's a transfer of wealth in the right direction. That's how you grow economies in the private sector, not with government and taxation. So there's a lot to talk about. And when it comes to SpaceX, everybody knows I love SpaceX. I have for years. I like Elon Musk, even though he's kind of a Democrat. Trump's kind of a Democrat, has been for years. They're kind of progressives. I like Teddy Roosevelt, and Teddy Roosevelt started the Progressive Party, and everybody knows how much I hate progressives. All the socialism and everything, we have a lot of history that's flowed under the bridge that's now out in the open ocean, and we can reflect how that water has gone downstream. And looking back, we've learned a lot of lessons. But when people ask me, okay, what's going on with the SpaceX? Should I buy or not? And my thing is, hey, if you have some extra flow over money, some real estate that you've recently sold, and you've collected $50,000 to $100,000 on it, and you're just going to put it in a bank and let it sit in some sort of interest gaining account, you'd be far better to put it into this SpaceX IPO. I think if you put 100,000 in, you're going to come back with 100 million. This is a chance for generational wealth to be created. Those who go out, this is better than a betting on a horse at the Kentucky Derby. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give a good story. Occupy Mars. I was recently down the Space Coast touring the SpaceX facilities and Blue Origin facilities, and looking at the Artemis rocket, visiting my in-laws down there at the condo. My wife and I we had been at the Kennedy Space Center and touring all the facilities all day, and I wore this shirt. I like this shirt. I like SpaceX. I'm eager. I can't wait to open up another planet for humanity. I can't wait to go to Mars and do archaeology. I can't wait to go to the planets and do archaeology. I'm very much looking forward to all of that. I really love studying history and human history, and I think we're going to discover a lot about ourselves when we get to Mars. So I am all about occupying Mars. I want humans and robots and all kinds of artificial intelligence to be on the red planet telling me stuff every day what's going on Mars. I love the idea of it. Elon Musk, I think as a young man, read a lot of the same science fiction books I did. Loved science fiction. He really wants to carry humanity into space, and he's legitimate about doing it. And I've been talking about the space economy for years now. I couldn't wait for Trump to become president so we could have a space economy, a big, thriving economy, not something that's chained to the same stuff we've always had. I'm talking about the kind of wealth that was created between 1860 and the turn of the century, turn of the 20th century, 1900. That 40-year span of a lot of capitalism. Marxism was imported from Europe about that time too. But Western expansion was a great thing. I do not agree with all the antitrust stuff. When I say that this IPO for SpaceX is generational wealth generators, for anybody that's got a little bit extra money, a couple $1,000 to put into it, you could turn around and I'd say by 2030, 2031, and you'll probably gain $1 million on it. There's going to be a lot of people, a lot of the fears, a lot of the stock ticker types, the CNBC people who try to apply conventional wisdom to this stuff. It's just like trying to apply conventional politics to the modern MAGA movement. It just doesn't fit. We're talking about generational wealth that is magnificent on an epic scale. And I would not hesitate to tell people that I care about a lot. Hey, if you got $50,000 or $100,000, you're not going to go wrong on this one. Put it in the SpaceX's IPO. It's going to be unleashed on June 12th, right about the time that Disclosure Day, the Spielberg movie, comes out. As space is going to be on everybody's mind. Great time to buy SpaceX stock as the new Disclosure movie comes out. It's going to be. I think it's bizarre that more people aren't understanding the trends. This is, and I am not happy that BlackRock is planning on buying many thousands of shares. I think over 1 million shares with the amount of money they have in their portfolio. They're going to become wealthy beyond recognition. And I've always argued that that's bad news. Larry Fink's a bad guy. Democrat politics. He likes Trump. You get some good stuff with the good stuff. You get some good and bad stuff with all the good stuff. And with Trump, you get some of these kind of people. With Larry Fink's the world that are, or the Mark Zuckerbergs. I don't like Mark Zuckerberg at all. And I don't like that he's in the White House so much. And I understand why people don't like Elon Musk. I like Elon Musk a lot. I think he's doing great things. I think it's great that the world's richest person is also one of the smartest engineers and a person that grew up with the same science fiction, asking the same questions I did. Why aren't we doing these things? How can we get there? And he took his wealth. He hit it big early with PayPal. Took his wealth and invested it in a big way. Took big gambles, won on them. And the result is this wonderful IPO with SpaceX. And it's going to make a lot of people multimillionaires. And it's probably the safest bet you're going to have. And why? For the same reason I talk about this shirt. So I was wearing this shirt. My wife and I had to stop by before we went back to the condo down there in Cocoa Beach. The Cape Canaveral. We went to the Brevard. With the Brevard Publix. It's a Publix in Florida, is a popular grocery chain, kind of like Kroger is in Cincinnati. We went to the Cape Canaveral Publix for some dinner and snacks before we went back to the condo. It was a good day. We had a great day over at the Kennedy Space Center and looking at SpaceX and Blue Origin, their manufacturing facilities, and I was very impressed, very happy, and we wore our Occupy Mars shirts because I was in the mood to think about space and go see the Artemis rocket up close. Very happy about it. So we're at Publix getting some vegetables because we hadn't had vegetables. We had a lot of eat out food for several days while we were in Florida, and we needed some fresh food. And I like to get like berries and blackberries and grapes and things like that. So we went to Publix to go get some fresh fruit and some snacks for the night. And we got a fruit bowl for the condo so everybody can enjoy a little bit of fruit because we were all geeked out on eating out every single day. We wanted some fresh fruit and some water. So we got a bunch of groceries for the rest of our stay there at the condo to take them back up there. And we were walking around. There was a guy who clearly I would say is a safe bet. He was a Trump voter, likely a big supporter of DeSantis. and he was a gruff. Looks like he goes to Bike Week at Daytona, and he saw me walk by him with this shirt on, and we hadn't gone back to the condo yet. We were coming straight from the Kennedy Space Center. Stopped by Publix to get our food, so we hadn't changed. So I still had all this on, and he said, Elon Musk is a bum. We'll be great. It'll be great when he's no longer around. He's a bum. He got all his money from government subsidies and all. He said a whole bunch of things, and he was not happy about Elon Musk, and he was telling me about it. And a lot of those same people are the ones that are coming out saying, "Hey, watch out for this SpaceX IPO. All these tech oligarchs are allying with Trump so they can use the government to give them a bailout because they know this economy is going underwater." Now, I have quite the opposite feeling about this SpaceX IPO. I think we're looking at the start, and like I told some people this week, and they were asking me, "Rich, what should I do? I've got $50,000. Where should I put it?" I said, "Hey, SpaceX, it's a great bet. Spend $50,000, get back 50 million probably by 2030, 2031. What? How are we going to do that? When you look at Congress and you have all this insider trading that goes on because they know what legislation is going to be passed and they know where to put money. This is the same kind of deal. This is an easy one with SpaceX. And as I explained, in case you weren't paying attention, the Starship 12 had a successful launch just the other day, beginning of June-ish, I think, end of May, right around Memorial Day. And they had a successful launch, landed the Starship 12 in the Indian Ocean where they said it would be. They had drones set up. So the thing landed from space. It came down at a very precise location, which is one of the criteria they have to fulfill. And based on that, they're moving forward with their IPO because Elon Musk doesn't care about getting trillions of dollars in his bank account. He wants trillions of dollars so he can go to Mars. What people don't understand about people who are science fiction geeks like this and have read all the Foundation series books and all the Dune books, and they want to be the facilitator of humanity moving into space. The space economy is going to produce many more trillions of dollars than anybody can count. It's going to be the kind of wealth that we saw through westward expansion. And it's not like we're exploiting aliens, or they're not doing anything with it. There's no indigenous people on the moon to exploit. That's why I get excited about it. There is literally going to be trillions of dollars of revenue of new economy generated because of the Starship, because of what SpaceX has done already with the Falcon program. They're already worth over $1 trillion in evaluation. But what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years, once they start landing the Starships at Boca Chica, and they start building not just star bases in Boca Chica and at Cape Canaveral. I was explaining because when you go to the Space Coast, there's all the restaurants that support the tourism industry there, right around the Ron John Surf Shop. I love that whole area, and when you go to those restaurants, I was saying to people who are familiar with the area, that whole area is going to look like Vegas in a few years. Not that Vegas is a great place, but the amount of money that came in from, I often talk about the crime families that ran Newport, Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, and how the Cleveland mob got cracked down on here in Ohio, and how Bobby Kennedy was one of those that was cracking down on organized crime in Ohio, and they pushed the crime families, the mobs out. And I have very close, intimate knowledge about that. I knew a lot of those kinds of people in my young days, and I know how Vegas, they went to places where they had more tolerance for organized crime, and Vegas was a place in the middle of the desert. They had tolerance for those types of characters, and it emerged into an entertainment capital. And what you can do at Vegas now, it's not just all the illicit, terrible adult promiscuity that goes on, and the drinking and all the bad stuff, the Sin City, the Sodom and Gomorrah type stuff. But it's a great entertainment place. There's a lot of revenue that gets generated that a lot of artists and entertainment would not have otherwise, if not for Vegas blowing up in the way that it has. I remember reading a National Geographic article about the tremendous growth in Vegas in the 80s. and they were shocked by it. I wasn't shocked by it. I said, and I know how I watched these things happen. I watched how they built Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates, the whole area. I've watched them build all the stuff that they built. Cities that came up out of the desert overnight, and where they got their money and how they transferred their wealth into things that gave people a lot of opportunities in life. I could go on and on about my experiences with Abu Dhabi and Dubai and understanding wealth creation where they used to be formerly just deserts. But I think of Vegas when I think of wealth creation, stuff that comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden now there's something happening. I pointed out the Space Coast and all the activity, the space activity that's going to happen at Port Canaveral, at Kennedy Space Center, at Cape Kennedy, Cocoa Beach. Everything up and down that strip is going to turn into an amazing development. A lot of the restaurants we know very well are going to turn into like top tier restaurants like you find in Vegas. And they're just seafood shacks that they can get access to great seafood coming right off the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. And they, a lot of fresh food, so a lot of great seafood has emerged there because the tourism industry can support it. I think that whole area is going to blossom, and anywhere they build a spaceport is going to be all of a sudden bring billions of dollars to those regions. And I say billions when we talk about all the controversy on data centers. A lot of what's going to fuel this kind of stuff is AI intelligence to fuel the space economy and all the robots that are going to be flying up on these things. It won't be human beings. It's not going to be dangerous. You're going to have Tesla bots riding on these starships, autonomously going back and forth into space, and the space economy is going to bring trillions of dollars to the country that puts their arms around it. And that's what Elon Musk knows that everybody else is learning quickly. And that's what this IPO is all about. It's going to be trillions of dollars of value that's going to come in. That's when Elon Musk says, hey, if you invest 1,000, you'll get back 1,000,000. I think he's probably underplaying it to some extent. This isn't where he said, hey, the Tesla truck windows won't bust if I throw a rock at them or a heavy weight. And he did, and the thing broke because it wasn't so bulletproof. Tesla truck is one of the most armored cars you can buy on the free market right now. I think it's great. I think it's the best, most engineered truck on the market. And he might have had some exaggeration in his sales pitch, which is common in sales, create enthusiasm. I think he's actually downplaying the whole IPO for SpaceX, and that's what I've told everybody. So my advice to anybody who's got $50,000-$60,000 laying around, if you had $100,000 you want to put somewhere, I think it's as safe as driving down the road to get a pizza. I think it's definitely the long shot odds at the Kentucky Derby. It's betting on the horse that's probably projected to come in last, and you can almost bet that it's going to come in first. The SpaceX IPO is big, hot stuff, and it is the best way to get generational wealth. And I'm talking about wealth at the level of the Rockefellers, or Vanderbilts, and those types of people. The J.P. Morgans. We're talking about that kind of generational wealth that makes everybody in your family wealthy, and then some for generations to come, whether they deserve it or not. This is my advice to anybody asking. I think it's a safe bet, and I would bet the farm on it because SpaceX is where the gold is. It's the next gold rush. And I just did a long segment recently. I went on for a whole hour on how there are going to be trillions of dollars coming out of mining off the moon. That's the next gold rush. Well, guess what's going to bring all that money back to Earth? Starships that Elon Musk has been building, and based on the performance of Starship 12 just a few weeks ago, when they do Starship 13 and 14, they start catching these things down in Boca Chica, and they start building 2 or 3 starships a day at that star factory that they have down in Boca Chica, which is all built, ready to go. And when I saw the infrastructure down at the Kennedy Space Center, wearing my beautiful Occupy Mars shirts, I got a lot of thumbs up from the SpaceX employees. My wife and I both had on the same shirt while we were walking around touring. And I'm very proud of SpaceX. I'm proud that it's an American company, and I love to get behind it. And I don't think this is a wealth transfer where they're going to wash their money and clean house with it. I think in BlackRock's case, This is kind of like a money laundering scam where they take all the illicit money they've acquired, and now there's a lot of heat on them for their affiliation with the World Economic Forum, and a lot of scandalous behaviors went on in the background. This is a way to clean the money that the Fed made for them by putting in a legitimate business, and the money that will be created from SpaceX will be legitimate money. I know the Birch Gold people will say the only safe investment is gold. I know the war room people are like, you can't trust Elon Musk, but I'm saying I read a lot of the same books he has, and I know what he wants to do with that money. And he's not going to spend it on strippers and whores and condos, that just a few more condos in his portfolio, and big fancy boats and yachts. I don't even know where Elon Musk sleeps these days. I think he sleeps on a cot at SpaceX. And when you see the facility they have at the Kennedy Space Center, right next to the General Assembly building, it is excessively impressive. And as I was there, a Falcon 9 rocket had just come in from a Starlink mission where they took a bunch of satellites into space. They literally landed right next to the Grills restaurant there at the spaceport. And we were watching the thing come on the barge going back up to Kennedy Space Center, and they took it back up and they had it at the complex, and they were cleaning it up for another launch. And then when we actually watched the launch right after we got back from, and it was a great day. It was one of the best days I've had in years. Was the day with the Kennedy Space Center, and then stopped by that nice grocery store and got some snacks for that night, and we went home and we watched a Falcon 9 launch from Kennedy Space Center, and with all the delays and things that go on, and Artemis had just been canceled because it was going to launch like a week after we were there. We wanted to go to the pad and see it on the stand. Wanted to see it up close, which we were able to do. So going to Publix, going back and going on the balcony of the condo where it has an unobstructed view of Kennedy Space Center with the ocean right there. So it was a great place to watch a launch, and it was impressive. And I think one of the saddest days I had was at that same condo when Obama canceled the space program, and we had just gone over there to see the last of the infrastructure for the space shuttle programs being dismantled around 2013. And we went to a Publix, similar on that same kind of night. Different Publix, it was down the road. They built a new one since then. It was nice to see it fresh and see it thriving. I was very sad in 2013 when the Obama administration was reconfiguring NASA to go study Islamic studies and contributions to science, and not taking advantage of a space economy. I love that there's a SpaceX pushing NASA now. There's a friendly Trump administration pushing this. There's a lot of wealthy people who want to become more wealthy, and the economy, the trillions of dollars that's going to come back. This is a chance for people, just average people who have average money, and I say access to $10,000, $20,000. $300,000 is pretty average. Sell one of your properties. You're in your 50s and 60s, and you have $100,000 in the bank, and you're thinking about this IPO, and you're asking, "Hey, Rich, what do you think? You're a geek on the aerospace market. What do you think? Do it. You won't regret it. I think you'll turn $100,000 into $1 million in about 4 or 5 years." Because this whole rocket thing is about to literally blow up. That's why the IPO is coming out now. It's not to wash a bunch of scandalous money because the economy is going to sink. It's because there's a friendly Trump in the White House. This is something I wanted to see happen. I talked about it 4 or 5 years ago. This is the kind of stuff that they put Biden in. They put Biden in office to squash, because if the United States and SpaceX got everything going like they were planning to do, China would never get up off the mat, and all the rest of the economies of the world would be 30 years behind where SpaceX is going. And it's all because Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And as I told somebody who's very wealthy the other day, thinking about putting a significant amount of money into this SpaceX IPO, I said to them, listen, you have all these climate change weirdos who who are worried about Earth turning into Mars, becoming a husk, just the crust. The atmosphere being stripped away, all the oceans going off into space. It's happened to Mars before, and the fear is that it happened again. The best way to ensure the destruction of the human race is to sit tight and listen to liberals. Don't take humanity into space. Elon Musk, and as I told this wealthy person, Elon Musk doesn't want to go out and buy whores and strippers and condos and fancy cars. He wants to actually terraform Mars into an Earth-like planet. He wants to restore the oceans and restore the atmosphere. And even though it has less gravity than we have here, which I would contend this is why you had giant people on the Earth at that time, because they came from Mars and settled in the Middle East region, around the Mediterranean. That's where all your Greek legends of Titans came from. They grew tall on Mars, and we'll prove it with archaeology. Hey, you could say it's crazy. Well, I'm not going to listen to somebody give financial advice who thinks people came from Mars. Hey, don't believe me. Lose out. Just telling you, the things I say usually come true. We're going to get to Mars and find all this out. Archaeology is going to sift it out, literally. And we're going to discover that we had a past that started in Mars. There's going to be archaeology on Mars. And we're going to find out that people grew taller in a low gravity environment like Mars. And when we return there, you're going to see that most of us will grow to be the size of basketball players. We're going to grow 7 feet because the gravity isn't quite as much. And when you live in a sustained way on another planet, your skeleton's going to grow taller. And the kids are going to grow with less gravity pulling them down. They're going to grow taller through the years. And that's how people grow to be extra tall. Likely that's where the genes that made Goliath came from. The genes were making 7 to 8 feet people. And the big conspiracy is, which everybody's wondering why is that? Well, the UFO visitors have known this for years. They have operated these governments in the background. That's why it's important to tie all this stuff in with Disclosure Day. I know I'm telling people a lot of crazy stuff that is crazy for the everyday normies. But I've paid attention to this stuff all my life, and I'm just telling you, there's going to be trillions of dollars of money created from the Trump economy and SpaceX becoming the dominant supplier of the supply chain on the back and forth wealth that's going to be mined off the moon in places like Mars. And asteroids floating around, junk floating around the gravity well of Earth. There's a lot to go out there and get. There's a lot to discover, and Starship is the key to it. And if it's worth $1 trillion today, and if Elon Musk, because of this IPO, becomes the first trillionaire, 10 million, or 10 trillion heir, I'm cool with it. Not a problem, because he's going to turn that money around and spend it on all the right places. And I'm very happy about it. I can't wait. And if you want a piece of the rock, take an extra few $1,000 and go buy yourself some IPO stock in SpaceX, and you'll get a few more $1 million in your bank account in a few years, a few short years. All the people all the short sellers, the people who flip stocks all the time, if they're thinking, hey, I'm going to buy the stock on day 1, sell it on day 10, you're not going to make money that way. You got to hold it for probably 3 or 4 years because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to buy it and dump it quickly. They're going to see a downtick in the market. There might be a starship that doesn't quite make it. There'll be an explosion like Blue Origin had at some point, and one of those super heavies will blow up on the pad, and people will dump all their SpaceX stock. And there'll be moments of gains and regressions. But listen, I'm just telling you. Lay it out in about 4 years. If you invest $1,000, you're going to get back $1 million because the valuation is going to go at that rate because the amount of wealth that Starship is going to bring to the economy it serves is going to be in the multi-trillions. Not billions, multi-trillions. So it's a very safe investment. And I advise everybody who's even somewhat thinking about it to do it. I know I told you a lot of wild stuff, but you're going to find out 10 years from now, people are going to be like, how'd you know all that in 2026? Hey, I said all this. I said this kind of stuff in 2013. It all turned true. I said this kind of stuff in 2003. It all came true. I was saying stuff like this in 1993. It all came true. I was saying these kinds of things in 1983. They all came true. And I'm telling you this now in 2026. And you can talk to me about it in 2033 or 2036 or 2046, whenever. Pick your decade, and we'll chat about it, and you'll find out. Man, I'm glad I listened to you. Boy, you're the greatest guy to know. A lot of people wonder why so many people talk to me. It's the reason. Pretty good track record. And I'm telling you, the SpaceX IPO is hot stuff. Don't let all the soothsayers, the people who want to maintain control through fear, scare you away from an opportunity of a lifetime. The SpaceX IPO is a chance to become generationally wealthy. The kind of stuff you can pass on to many decades of many generations, great grandchildren, and they'll be remembering, hey, love great grandma and grandpa. Look what they made us all millionaires, and we're still living off of it. They might not be very good people as a result, but they won't have to worry about holding a job or trying to balance a checkbook for most of their lives. They might be spoiled rotten, and we could say, you could argue whether that's a good thing or not. I would say, hey, if you want to leave behind something great, this is a chance to do it. You can take your wealth and turn it into something magnificent. Vanderbilt level money, Rockefeller level money, this is the time. What's getting ready to happen with SpaceX is what investing in the railroads would have been like before there was ever one single railroad. SpaceX is going to be that kind of transportation system. It is going to be common, an everyday occurrence, and it's going to change the way we do business as human beings. And usually we want to get in on things like that before they become big deals and everybody else knows about it. Right now, people just know Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, and they think he's a little crazy, and he's friendly with Trump, so it might be a good bet. For all the scientific reasons and the insider understanding of where the industry is going, I'm telling you, it's the safest bet that you could bet. It is the underdog horse that is going to win the race, and you'll look like a genius in just a few years. Everybody's going to be like, how'd you know? Well, I saw a video from a guy that is kind of wild and crazy, and he told me to buy it, so I put $100,000 on the SpaceX IPO, and it hit big. So that's how I got excessively wealthy. Not just comfortably have a comfortable bank account, but wealthy in ways that are difficult to measure. This is the way you get there. So I'm all for the SpaceX IPO, and I would recommend everybody who's thinking about it to do it. You won't regret it. And don't listen to all the doomsdayers and naysayers, because they're just like the guy that was poo-pooing my shirt at that Publix in Florida. That Elon Musk is a bum. He's listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these Tucker Carlsons. We got to stay on Earth. We want to stay Earth worshipers. We don't want science to take us to better heights. And demonize science. That's not what God wants. How do they know? I think that people like Elon Musk are creations of God, and they come every so often, and they do work that benefits everybody. And SpaceX is one of those companies that could benefit a lot of people, and you can do a lot of good with those benefits. And that's what I'm all about. And I think that the generational wealth that enough of the people I talk to would gain from this thing would do a lot of good, which is why I'm encouraging it. People who have full bank accounts tend to have great influence on the direction of society. And I talk to a lot of them, and they do spend their money. And if they didn't spend their money on righteous causes, there'd be a lot more evil in the world that I certainly would see happening more abundantly than it does if they didn't contribute money. And Trump is only president because he had massive amounts of wealth. And I like to see more people have that kind of level of wealth so they can withstand the rigors of the kind of society that's poo-pooing this SpaceX, that poo-poo all the space launches, and they're certainly poo-pooing this SpaceX IPO because they get money from China, and China doesn't want to see it happen. China doesn't want to see America beat it to the moon and to Mars and to colonies outside Earth's atmosphere. The trillions of dollars that will be unlocked, the rare metals that will be brought back here, so we don't have to buy them from Taiwan and China. That's why they're poo-pooing it, and that's why all the people eating out of the hand of China are down on it. I say the people who don't want the SpaceX to succeed, don't like Elon Musk, they don't want to see people gain independence through wealth generation. And this is the best opportunity I've seen, and we will likely see in our lifetimes, towards that kind of wealth creation. If you've ever been to the Biltmore estate and you're like, boy, why doesn't anybody get this rich anymore? Well, the space frontier will make that level of wealth possible. And I don't like seeing BlackRock benefit from it, but I do like seeing everyday people who have some expendable money that they've managed to acquire through real estate development. And they have a few bucks to put into this thing, and they can turn out to be gloriously rich. I would advise you to do so. You won't get this chance ever again in your lifetime. Space economy will produce trillions, and we're that close to it. And I'm very happy about it. That's why I proudly wear my Occupy Mars shirt. Even though I had that guy poo-poo it when I went to Publix, I was very proud of it, and I told him, I said, you need to be a lot more positive. Elon Musk is doing a lot of great things. He's a bum. He's going to bring Trump down. Marjorie Taylor Greene for president. That's these kinds of people. Tucker Carlson says no. Those are the kind of people that are helping China win, not the United States. I want to see the United States win. I want a space economy that makes it win. And I can't wait for it. The SpaceX IPO is very exciting, and I would recommend everybody to invest in it that can. You'll be glad you did. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you never read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
In the age of disclosure, you must understand the politics of heaven. Coming soon.
Coming soon. The politics of heaven in 2027. A treasure hunt through heaven and all human history.